Hi, I'm Sarah Tyke, host of the Interested Reader podcast. Each week, I'll bring you a short lesson in physics or astronomy, followed by a brief overview of what's happening out there in the universe. We'll also merge the wonders of science with the depths of spirit and discuss the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of our universe and ourselves. Come with me as we explore stars and souls, the intersection of science and spirit. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 16 of the Interested Reader podcast. I know it's been a long time since I've published something, but it's just been kind of one thing after another. And I don't know if this has happened to any of you, but you have plans to do something and then life just kind of gets in the way and happens, and projects get put on hold, and days, weeks, months go by. So hopefully this one will be interesting and you'll like it, and I will, the goal is to do one a month. It was like one a week and then every other week, and now it's down to like once a month, but we'll get there. So the one I want to talk about today is the Summer Solstice. That's coming up in a couple days. Today is the 18th of June, 2025, and I just love the Summer Solstice. I like the fact that the days are getting longer and longer. It's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because on the 20th, that marks the highest point of the sun, and then the days actually start getting shorter. So in just a few days, it feels like we're already on the downturn toward winter. And that's a long way off, but it's kind of that bittersweet, like, it's the longest day of the year, it's summer, it's, everything's so bright and warm. But we're also going to be on our way downhill to winter. So it's always kind of a weird, paradox to experience every year. So we'll start talking about that. So just to do a little bit of numerology here, because that is one of my favorite things. So today's number is a 6, which symbolizes matters of the heart, unconditional love, nurturing, healing. And the energy of the number 6 is centered around being of service to others. And I'm always hoping that this podcast is a service to somebody out there, that if you're listening, you're getting something out of it. If you're not, I'd love to hear about it, and you give me some ideas of what you want to hear about. So this is, again, just a breakdown, if you're watching, how to get that number 6, where you just add up each of the numbers of the date. So 6, 18, 20, 25, you add up all the numbers, reduce it down to one digit, and you get a 6. Just a reminder that this year, 2025, is a number 9, which symbolizes completion or the end of a cycle, transitioning to a new phase. It's a number that's highly connected to inner wisdom and spirituality, which, again, this was supposed to be the year where I really kind of became more consistent with the podcast and really put much more effort into making this a regular thing. And hopefully, this podcast is meant to be this connection between science and spirituality, and hopefully providing you some sort of useful content, some wisdom, some guidance, hopefully. So that's what this year is about, numerologically. So the summer solstice is going to be this Friday, 6/20, and that will be a number 8. And 8's a fun number because it's essentially the infinity sign, and it represents power, strength, success, abundance. But it also represents balance, because you've got the symmetrical number, the symmetrical symbol. So the meaning behind that is like whatever is received is given back, and it's just a continuous cycle of giving and receiving, which, again, to me, that sort of ties in with this idea of being of service to others. So again, that's the summer solstice, where we're kind of, the sun's at its height. We're kind of at officially it's it's the first day of summer, but I always say summer starts on June 1st. No one sits around waiting until June 20th to say that summer is officially started, except maybe astronomers. So I love the number 8. I just like the symbol of it, that infinity symbol. It's also considered to be the luckiest number in Chinese culture. So before we start getting into the science of the summer solstice, we're going to do our quote of the day. which is from Benjamin Franklin. When you're finished changing, you're finished. And I like this quote. It actually comes from a wellness journal that I just started because I got some results from some blood work back a couple weeks ago, and it kind of confirmed some stuff that I suspected was going on. But the traditional route of kind of like mainstream medicine just doesn't look for these types of things in blood work. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, and they're much more comprehensive in looking at various markers in blood work to really get to the root cause of problems, not just here's a prescription for this symptom, here's a prescription for this symptom. Before you know it, you're on 10 different prescriptions. So I really wanted to get to the root of the cause, because the next step with the traditional medicine was just to be on a bunch of medication for high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high everything, low everything. And I just don't want to be on all that. So I was like, because that doesn't, in my mind, that doesn't fix the problem, that just masks it. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, and their blood work showed a bunch of stuff that I kind of figured. I'm like, oh, that's not too surprising. It just, all this time I figured, oh, that can't possibly be me that has all those problems. So anyway, so I started a treatment program, and they give you a journal to kind of keep track of what's going on each day, and they have these quotes on every page, and this was one of them pretty early on, which is very applicable to a wellness journal because I have to make some big changes. I'm on an elimination diet for the next 30 days, which means I can't eat anything, basically. I can't even have coffee, not even decaf. And if any of you know me, coffee is a big part of my life. It's very near and dear to me. So no dairy, no grains, no anything, just basically meat and vegetables for 30 days. And it's been tough. Mainly because I'm an emotional eater and I just love snacking. It's not even that I love it, I just do it. Like, I'm just bored, so I'm like, oh, let me just see what I can snack on while I'm at the computer. It's like I have to have something, I have to be eating something while I'm just sitting at the computer. So that has to change. Lots of things have to change. The good news is that I'm only 6 days in and I'm already seeing some pretty significant improvements, especially in my joints. That was a big problem. There's a lot of inflammation that I kind of figured, okay, maybe I have that, but the blood work kind of confirmed it. But my joints are already feeling better after only 6 days. So yeah, a lot of changes. And as you all have probably seen with my podcast, that has changed quite a bit if you've been following me from the beginning. I'm only 16 episodes in, and I've changed the topic, I've changed the logo several times. I've kind of changed the direction a couple times. I even started another website called The Nourished Soul, and was going to kind of not necessarily go podcast with that one, but at least have that as my more focus, because it was going to be more about health and nutrition. That didn't really go anywhere either. Turns out I like it as a hobby, not as a full-time sort of like having to keep up with it. My passion truly is physics and astronomy. I keep coming back to this, which I think is something you should all encourage, is just changing and trying new things out. I don't know why people seem to be afraid to try something, and I don't know, I think they're failing at it if they don't, I don't know, make a living out of it. I've tried so many different things. I had an Etsy shop for a while. I still have one now, but I was making crocheted things to sell because I love crocheting. Turns out I don't like it as a full-time money-making operation. I like to make things once, and then that's it. So I thought it'd be really cool to have an Etsy shop and to be able to make my living that way, but that's not for me. I wrote a book. It's an ebook. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Astronomy for the Soul. And yeah, I like writing. I always thought I wanted to be a full-time like professional writer, but I'm thinking now, I'm like, I don't think that writing's really, I'd like to do it as a hobby, maybe some short stories, but it's like I tried it out, not really for me. Tried out Etsy shop, not really for me. I'm still sort of trying to find out what is for me. I love podcasting and I love teaching, so that's what I'm really trying to combine those two. I don't know if any of you have ever seen One Piece. It's an anime. But there's a scene when they get Brook on board. He's a musician. and he doesn't feel like he really fits in with the crew. He feels like he's just not very useful. So he goes and tries to help out in the kitchen, and it's just an unmitigated disaster. He just breaks everything. And so Sanji's their cook, and he kicks him out of the kitchen, like, just leave me alone, get out of the kitchen, you're ruining everything. So he goes to the navigator, tries to help her out, destroys all her maps, knocks over all the ink, destroys everything. She's like, get out of here, you're in my way. So he goes to the swordsman, because they're both swordsmen. Brooke's a musician and a swordsman. So he goes to their other swordsman, Zoro, and is trying to go train with him. But he's just, again, he's getting in the way. He's a distraction. Nobody wants him around. They're like, just get out of the way, Brooke. So finally he goes and he's just on the deck and just kind of feeling like he doesn't belong there. And he's kind of made a mistake by joining the crew. Or rather, they made a mistake by taking him on. And so she's an archaeologist, Robin. So she just tells him that he's trying too hard and that he just needs to be himself and he'll find his place. So he's kind of like, okay, whatever. So he starts playing his violin, because again, that's what he is. He's a musician. He just starts playing it, and everybody hears the music, and they all come out of the kitchen or the navigation room, the weight room. Everybody comes together around him when they hear his music, and they all just start having a good time. They're all laughing and singing and dancing, and he brings the whole crew together. And he realizes that that's his place. He's a musician. He's just doing what he does naturally. And that's his place, is to just be him. And that's all he needs to do. So that's what I've been kind of struggling with too, is with just trying to find what is my place. What am I doing? And I feel like a lot of times I'm trying too hard to make something happen rather than just being, just being me. So anyway, I really like this quote about, when you're finished changing, you're finished, because you should always be changing. You should always be trying something new. And it's not really a failure if you change your mind and say, it's not for me. You try it on. I mean, you try on shoes and you say, nah, not the right fit, not the right color. You try on clothes. You go look at a bunch of houses before you settle on the right one. You test drive cars before you settle on one. So you're always changing. Okay, that's our quote for the day. Now we'll get into just a little bit of space news before we get into the solstice thing. So these are some astronomical sights you can see this month. So obviously the summer solstice in a few days. Titan will be transiting Saturn, and Neptune will be visible. So first we'll talk about the other two. So Titan is the largest moon of Saturn. The first transit, or the most recent one, happened on June 16th, so that was a couple days ago. But we're in a pattern with Saturn where we're going to see this fairly frequently. So I think for the next 13 years we're going to see Saturn mostly with its rings kind of edge on. If you're watching, there's a picture here from 2009. And when the rings are tilted like that, it's a lot easier to see the planets and the transiting of Titan anyway. We're at just the right angle. So this is going to happen fairly frequently over the next few years. So next transits are July 2nd and July 18th. If you guys will hang on for just 1 second, I have to go turn off an alarm. Alright, sorry about that. So the next transits of Titan are July 2nd and July 18th. And this happens about every 16 days, because that is Titan's period of revolution around Saturn. And it's just kind of fun to see, because if you're watching, there's a picture of Saturn, and you can clearly see Titan and its shadow on the planet, which is kind of cool to be able to see the shadow on the planet's surface. So that's always fun to see, and I think you'll be able to see this if you have just a small telescope, nothing fancy. I don't know about binoculars. You can certainly see Saturn. As we'll see in the next slide, you'll be able to see Neptune with binoculars. I don't know if you'd be able to see the moons, if it would be that detailed with binoculars. You may need an actual telescope. The picture that you're seeing on screen, if you're watching, is from the Hubble telescope. That's why it looks so cool. So Neptune is about 4.5 billion kilometers from the Sun. So it's 30 AU astronomical units. Earth is 1 astronomical unit from the Sun, so Neptune is 30 times farther away from the Sun than us. It was first discovered in 1612 by Galileo, with an orbital period around the sun of about 164 years. And on June 29th, you'll be able to see it with binoculars. So it'll be pretty close to Saturn. Saturn will be pretty easy to find. Saturn's a magnitude 1, so it's one of the brighter ones. And it'll be just north of Saturn on the 29th. So it'll be pretty easy to locate it in the sky. And Neptune's a magnitude 7.8, so the higher the number, the dimmer it is. And with binoculars, you should be able to see it. Again, the picture on screen is going to be Hubble. Everything I show will probably, it's going to be from a space telescope in general. And the naked eye can see down to magnitude 6 or 7. So with binoculars, you should be able to get a little bit better. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I'll go out and do this. A lot of times we get cloudy weather here at nights. And also we've had here, so I'm in Iowa, and we've had a lot of problems with the air quality from the wildfires in Canada. So it's just been really hazy, like every day for a few weeks. But if you get some binoculars, if you want to go look at Neptune. I thought there's something else I was going to say about that. I don't remember. We'll come back to it. Alright, so next is the summer solstice. And if you're watching, I'm trying to be clever by spelling solstice S-O-U-L. Because, again, this is kind of a nice time for inner reflection too, as we look at parallels between what's going on in the skies and what's going on with ourselves. So the summer solstice happens between June 20th and the 22nd of every year. It just depends on the year. It can vary by a couple days. So the summer solstice is when the Earth's northern hemisphere is at its greatest tilt toward the sun. And then obviously in 6 months we'll be on the other side, and the northern hemisphere will be tilted farthest away from the sun, and that will be the winter solstice. And this is the day when the sun appears at its highest position in the sky. And I've always found this funny that, so we go through all this, for hundreds of years we've done all this research, and astronomers have refined models of the solar system, and we finally figured out that the Earth is the center, or is not the center of the solar system. It's the sun's the center, because we had the geocentric model for so long, and then people were heretics. They were they couldn't believe these people were crackpots thinking that the sun was the center. That was crazy. There's no way. So finally, after hundreds of years, we figured out that, oh yeah, that's true. The sun is at the center. But now in all of astronomy, you're like, well, let's just pretend that the Earth is the center, and we'll treat everything like the stars are moving around us and the sun is moving around us. So we're just going back to, the original wrong theory. But obviously for observational astronomy, it just works better to just imagine it as the sun is actually moving around us, because that's how it looks. So obviously that's the most natural way to approach it, but I just think it's funny that we're using the old wrong model to explain things. And that's just how it goes on with humans. So the solstice, the word comes from sol, meaning sun, and sistere, or just to stand still, because for that day, or a couple days around the solstice, the sun's position, so where it rises, it's called its declination. Throughout the year, it appears to move northward. So if you watch where the sun rises every day, you can see that it gets farther and farther north if you're in the northern hemisphere. And it looks like it's rising a little bit farther north every day until the solstice. And for a few days up to the solstice, it'll rise at the same point, or very close. Like there's very little movement for those 3 or 4 days. And now my cat's going to get in the way. Sorry. You can't see her, but she's about to destroy everything. So it looks like the sun is kind of standing still for a few days around the solstice. So that's what the word sistere means. Sol, sistere, solstice. So after the solstice, the sun's declination, the point where it rises every day, will look like it moves farther south until it gets to its lowest, most southern point, and that's our winter solstice. And I don't know if you've ever actually done this, but it is fun to watch. That's why I like the summer solstice, because I do actually like waking up and seeing the sun moving like every day. I kind of make a point of, at least a few times during the seasons, to notice where the sun is rising. Because in the wintertime, you look out and it's so far south that you're just like, is the sun even going to rise today? Are we going to have it? If you can even see it through the clouds, because here in Iowa, I mean, once winter hits, you've got clouds for, I don't know, 8 months. So that's where solstice comes from. And if you were to go, this is one of my favorite phenomena, it's called an analemma. So if you were to go out and plot the position of the sun at the same time, at the same location every day for a year, you'd get this kind of figure eight shape. Most of the time people are using noon if you're going to do it. So you get this figure eight shape due to Earth's tilt. If it wasn't tilted, then the sun would just rise at the same point every single day. And then the uneven sizes, if you're watching, you see that this figure is kind of uneven. If you're not watching, you're just listening. This analemma, this figure eight, is kind of tilted on its side, and like the top half is smaller than the bottom half. And that's because of the eccentricity of the Earth's orbit. So I think we've talked about this. Maybe I've done this in a podcast, but eccentricity is how elliptical an orbit is. So a perfect circle has eccentricity of 0, and then an oval has an eccentricity of 1. So it can vary anywhere from 0 to 1. And the closer to 0, the more perfectly circular an orbit is. And Earth's eccentricity is, I think it's like, oh gosh, I'm going to get it wrong probably. I want to say it's like, I don't even think it's 0.2. It might be, we'll say 0.2. I think it's around there. And I don't even know if it's that. So it doesn't deviate much. It's very nearly circular. But it's because of that slight deviation that gives us the uneven lobes. If it was a perfect circle, you'd have a perfectly symmetrical figure eight. So again, we have this figure eight shape again that we had talked about in the beginning with the numerology of the day of the summer solstice. This year happens to be an 8. The analemma is also like a figure eight. And I've always loved it because I just love the fact that you can see the movement of the sun across the sky throughout a year, and that it makes this kind of cool shape. So on the analemma, again, if you're watching, at the very top of the tilt here is the summer solstice, and the very lowest part would be the winter solstice. So the solstice is also an important aspect or important day in rituals and spiritual practices. So Stonehenge, they believe, was created around these dates. I think maybe the equinoxes played a part as well. So on the summer solstice, the sun will rise directly in the center of one of the monuments. I think this is like the entrance point to the henge. Some Native American tribes perform a sun dance. Other celebrations include making bonfires and stone circles. So it's widely recognized across, I believe, Egyptians, Mayans. They all had some sort of ritual to celebrate the solstice. I don't know if modern day, I read something about Sweden doing something, but I'm not sure what it was. But so it's a very important date in cultures across the world, across time. Everyone kind of recognizes that this is a special day. It's also, because again, like I feel like it's the turning point of the year. I know it's kind of depressing to think about that because we just started summer. And we still have a long way to go. There's still all of July and August where it's going to be warm and sunny and you can go to the beach. But, I mean, we're on the downturn already. The good thing, though, is that the winter solstice happens around the 20th of December. And after that, we're on the upswing to summer already. So before Christmas hits, we're already on our way to summer. So I always think of that in the winter. Because by already at December 20th, I'm thinking, when is it going to be summer again? When do we get some more light? So this time where the sun is sort of standing still, I think, is a good time for us to pause and be still within ourselves and just kind of reflect on what's happened already in the first half of the year. So we're 6 months through, we're halfway through the year. What have we done? What have we accomplished? And then what do we want to accomplish for the rest of the year? Most of us, I think, do New Year's resolutions. We live by the normal calendar year typically, so January 1st is a new year. So we've got 6 more months until that time comes up again. So what do we want to accomplish for the remaining 6 months? So I just kind of like to think about it, really truly, like if it looks like the sun is pausing, I always think that's kind of cool, because it's like to think that almost like the solar system is at a standstill just for a second, just for a brief second where the sun doesn't move. You just take a breath, and then in that pause, in that breath, just consider where you are, what you've done at this halfway point, and what you're going to accomplish for the rest of the year. So for me, for the rest of the year, I want to be more consistent with my podcast here. I'd like to get one, like I said, one a month. I've also got a newsletter that I would like to be consistent with. I think you guys would enjoy it. If you like the podcast, I think you'd like the letter. I do a little bit of a physics fact, astronomy fact. I'm introducing the electric universe theory, so I do a little bit of that, and then some sort of spiritual aspect, quote, motivation, something like that. So I want to, try to be more consistent with that. By the end of the year, I'd kind of like to have a solid practice of monthly podcasting and newsletter, and hopefully keeping up a little bit more on social media. I hate doing social media. So speaking of changes and everything, I had a business coach for a little while, because I'd really wanted to get something underway, not like a full-blown, business right away, but eventually, sure. But just something to kind of get the things in motion, maybe just make a little bit of money here and there. And one of the things that she always said was, once I would make something, whether it was a workbook, a lesson plan, something, I would create some content. And she's like, okay, well now you have to advertise it, basically. You have to, go post in, or go join groups on Facebook, so you can figure out what your target audience is looking for. Like, what do people want from you? And I tried, and I'm just like, I hate social media so much. It's just not my thing. I like the idea of connecting with people. I like the idea of having conversations with people all over the world. So I like it for that. And that's really fun. And when you actually do get somebody, because I'm in another group where I have met some ladies that are in Australia, or they're in England, or they live in Australia but they're touring South America right now, and that's really cool, because it's just fun to meet people from all over the world. And that's what I love about the internet and technology. It's just the click of a button. I can be talking to somebody in Australia. It's awesome. But I'm just not very good at keeping up on social media, and I don't know. But that's why I have to change. I have to make some changes and get better at that. So by the end of the year, I hope to be much more regular about podcast episodes, newsletters, and social media posting. So it would help me out a lot if you guys would follow me on social media and help me out. Tell me what you want to see. Interact a little. Let me know you're there, so that... Because I think that's the thing. I get very discouraged, I think, too, if I don't see anybody interacting. I'm just kind of like, what's the point? But I don't mind doing the podcast if no one's listening, because I like doing this. I don't like social media, so in order for me to keep at it, I need to have some sort of motivation, like somebody's out there listening. But I don't know. I'd love it if you guys followed, just so we can stay in touch and talk about science and spirituality. So there's just a couple questions for you to kind of consider if you're into journaling or meditation. So again, this is, if you're watching, these questions are on the screen, but if I remember, I'll put them in the description. If I remember. So things to consider. So what in your life is coming to full bloom? What needs to be illuminated right now? Where are you being invited to pause and realign? What do you need to honor before the light begins to wane again? I like those questions. So if you're interested, if you want to have the discussion, answer some of these, let me know. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. There's an interested reader page. If you're not part of that, you can join that. There's contact forms on the website. But yeah, I'd love to have this discussion because I love talking about this stuff with people, and I don't know, it's just what I want to do. Alright, so if you want to stay connected, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'd appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe if you like it. If you don't like it, then you can downvote if you want to. I don't care. But if you sign up with the newsletter now, hopefully this works. I tried to get this all working yesterday. But you can get a Summer Solstice journal when you sign up for the newsletter until the end of June. And it's just got some more, like meditative journaling prompts, if you want that. So if you're into that sort of thing, which of course I am. And I think I'll show you in a second if I've got the right page. And so everywhere I'm pretty much found as the interested reader. So Instagram, Facebook. I think if you search for those, you'll find me all right. The podcast is obviously on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. I'm on something called Castbox. I don't know if it's actually updating automatically like it's supposed to. Seemed like a really cool platform. Not very well known, I imagine. Not at least doesn't seem like it, but I'm on the major ones. Alright, so here's some sky watching resources. Sky and Telescope has an interactive sky chart. There's space.com. Time and date if you're looking for certain things that are happening. Eclipses. They might do the transit actually, I don't know. And again, I published my first book. This was back in December, but just as a reminder, if you're interested, Astronomy for the Soul. You can find it as an ebook on Amazon. I have it as PDF files in my Etsy shop and on the website. Okay, so that is that, and now I'm just going to show you guys the website so you can sign up for the newsletter if you want. So when you go to the website, you'll get this pop-up. I hope it's not super annoying. It's a cosmic reflection journal. So it's just 7 days of insights, journaling prompts, things like that. So if you sign up from this pop-up window, you'll get that. If you go to the homepage at theinterestedreader.com, scroll down to this About section, and then there'll be a button here, Subscribe to the newsletter. And if you click on that, that's the one that should get you to the Soulstice journal if you want. And this one says it's the Cosmic Reflections journal still, so I'll get that updated. It's one of those things where it was working yesterday, but yeah, I love technology, but this is one thing right here that I'm very frustrated with because I had it all changed yesterday. But if you want the Soulstice journal and you can't get it when you subscribe, if it doesn't ever download, if you get the wrong links, let me know and I'll send it to you. But and you can also get this Cosmic Reflections journal too if you want. When you subscribe, there's a section on the website that's for subscribers only, and I'll give you links to that when you subscribe. So right now there's not a whole lot there, but again, that's one of my plans to do for the rest of the year is to put more content on the subscribers only page. So if you have signed up for the email, you'll get more bonuses, more things on that site there just for you. So if you want, you can check out the website. There's links here to the podcast, to previous episodes. I think I've got them all on here. I don't have episode 15, it looks like, but I'll get that and this one published, set up there. Alright, so, and then at the bottom, there's always the follow me, there's an email, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the normal things. Alright guys, that's all I got for you. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you like it, you hate it, help me out, please. And hopefully I will be seeing you guys in a month. It would also help if you follow me, if you want to interact, you want to connect with me, keep me on track so I actually do publish these things once a month. That would be helpful. I need all the help I can get, all the motivation. Yeah, and if you guys need anything, if you're interested in a particular kind of lesson, workbook, journal, let me know. I love creating all this stuff, so most of the time I'm just making things for no reason. Like I just will sit in Canva and make documents, affirmation cards, bookmarks, and they just kind of sit there. So again, another project, I could finish them up and post them somewhere, right? I could actually do something with them. But all right, guys. Thanks for listening. I love you guys, and I will hopefully talk to you in 1 month. See ya. I hope you enjoyed this episode and are inspired to question and investigate the world around you. Let me know what you're thinking about. You can contact me through the website, theinterestedreader.com, send me an email at sarah@theinterestedreader.com, or join the Interested Reader group on Facebook. I'll see you at some later time T, where T is greater than T naught, and T naught is equal to now. Thanks for being an interested reader, and I'll see you next time.